now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben.
on Spoiled Rotten. And today, we are going to revisit, I feel like this is a revisit for both of us. We're going to revisit Hulk from 2003.
That's right. The Ang Lee
Yes.
movie.
Yes. And what an Ang Lee movie it is.
It is a very Ang Lee movie. I was just thinking, like, even some of the locations, I'm like, oh man, he really likes those locations from the Mission Impossible 2 movie too. That's pretty sweet. But
I mean, that's John Woo, but yeah.
Is it John Woo? I thought it was Ang Lee. My bad. Mixing up things for sure, but
yeah, it's like last episode where I reread the comic I'm like, I'm gonna re-listen to some podcasts that say they like this movie. I was like, I need I guess spoiler alert, I don't like this movie. But but yeah. I'm just like, I need to know, like, get in the minds of people who like this, so I'm not just completely negative about this movie.
So I think this is going to be very, very interesting because upon this rewatch, I like this movie a lot more than I remembered it being.
Okay,
so
good.
I'm
Someone
turning
needs to like the
corner.
movie.
Yeah, we can't just bash on it for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah.
am. It's a weird thing where I'm like, I feel exactly how I felt when I saw this in theaters for the first time. I don't feel any new thing, and I'd heard about what people like about it, and I was like, I should say, to like qualify this, I don't like Hulk. One, he's just not my guy. I don't
like
care.
as a character.
Yeah, I just don't care.
Yeah,
It's not for me. Two, I didn't start liking Eric Bana until he did Troy. And this is definitely the Eric Bana style I don't like. I definitely don't like Jennifer Connelly unless she's voicing the Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
So you're really putting me on the back foot for this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, do you want to see a Hulk movie? No. Do you want to see two actors you don't really like? No. And then, yeah. Then we're off to the races with the movie.
I mean, if you put that context, for sure, I feel indifferent towards Eric Bana. I like Jennifer Connelly, not fully because of her acting, I will say. It's more of a teenage crush type of thing that has stayed to this point, because when we see pictures of Jennifer Connelly now and then her appearance in the Hulk, you're just like, oh man, you have not aged at all. This is wild for sure.
Yeah, Pauline was watching for a bit with me and didn't realize this movie was taking place in 2003. She's like, wow, Jennifer Connelly just hasn't aged, because she doesn't look markedly different. Like she obviously doesn't. You can tell side by side, but if you don't have the context of the side by side, she looks very similar.
Correct, absolutely. And yeah, it is hard to be like, oh yeah, that's, if it wasn't for the dated CGI and all the special effects and all that kind of stuff, then it's just like, oh really, you would be confused as to how old Jennifer Connelly is in this and how old she is now. It's that it's the stem cells they must be getting in Hollywood. No, I'm joking.
I like Eric Bana from Troy basically on. Like everything else that I'd seen him in, I'm not claiming to have seen everything he's in, but everything else I'd seen him in after Hulk, basically. I was like, yeah, he's good. I like him.
Sure.
Especially in Funny People, like when he can do comedy again, because I just feel like it's interesting that he had that. He plays Hulk the way he does, Hulk and Bruce Banner.
Sure.
And then you're like, sorry, this guy had his own sketch comedy show in Australia. Like, what the fuck? But then you see Funny People and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
He is funny. He just chose to be completely humorless in this movie.
Yeah, and which I appreciate, because it's one of those things where now that I'm seeing it through the lens of post therapy and more interest in psychology and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, humor wouldn't have worked in this for me at all. Like seeing it through that lens is just like, oh yeah, I see what Ang Lee was going for, and it's complex, it's nuanced, and it is not what they advertised originally for this movie. Like rewatching some of the trailers and all that, oh, it was one of those things very much like the Suicide Squad. I'm like, oh, they advertised a very different movie than what we actually got, and I imagine that that did add on to a lot of why people hate this movie so much. It's not a perfect movie by far, but I just have come to appreciate it a lot more now.
I don't think it's
You know,
as hated as you're saying. I think most people
oh,
will
a lot of
say,
people hate it. A lot of people hate this
I don't
thing.
know. We've had many guests on this show alone that say they like it.
Sure,
I don't think it's as hated as you think. I think there's some vocal people who haven't rewatched it
that's
and
fair.
wanted the action thing, but I don't think there's many people who care about this kind of stuff that
Mhm.
rewatch and go like, yeah, I hate this.
Yeah, that's I mean, I see a different side of it. Like I see a lot of people that hate on it for sure. But then I also see a lot of the other people that go like, this is the most comic accurate portrayal of the Hulk that we've ever gotten. And I'm just like, interesting. It's
It
divided.
so yeah, yeah. I so if people haven't watched it, the movie is in broad strokes. Bruce Banner, he's basically his dad's experiment. Like his dad
Yep.
in the movie David Banner, in the comics I can't remember what his dad's name is, but
Hmm.
like it's not David Banner. They just did David Banner because that's the '70s show name. Because apparently they
Mm.
thought Bruce was too gay, even though Bruce Wayne's right there. Anyway,
Well, I mean, that's
but no one, as a
not the
joke,
best
yes,
art.
people think as a joke Bruce Wayne is gay, but that's like a joke. No one is like Bruce Wayne definitely gay, like as in the name sounds gay. It's more the
Mm.
context around it of,
Yep.
oh, he has a kid living with him.
Yeah, he's got a young boy that he
Yeah,
makes wear
but there's nothing
flamboyant
about the
costumes
name
and
like Bruce Wayne that people are like, yeah, he's gay for sure. It's just
yeah.
people who like to make fun of that concept.
I just think the name Bruce gets thrown into the gay circles a lot because of I guess a lot of stereotypes that they have with the
Yeah.
name Bruce, but whatever.
Anyway, yeah. So David
Yeah,
Banner was in the show.
sure.
Anyway, so they honor that by making his dad David Banner in this,
Hmm.
and his dad worked with Thunderbolt Ross
Hmm.
until Thunderbolt Ross was like, "Hey, don't test anything on humans." And
Yeah,
David Banner's immediate reaction was like, "Then I'll test it on myself.
yeah,
This should go perfectly fine." And then Thunderbolt Ross, I feel like reasonably is like, "We can't trust this guy. We got to get him out of here." Tries to
yeah.
shut him down, and uh David Banner has a kid, Bruce Banner, and wants to mercy kill him, but ends up killing his mother. This isn't to excuse any abuse that most likely was going on beforehand, but I feel like
Hmm.
the incident in the movie is positioned like he was trying to kill the kid to save him from a bunch of issues.
Yes, yes.
And the mom, again, reasonably was like, fuck you, don't do that.
Yeah, you can't kill our son.
And ended up dying.
Hmm.
Then he grows up with another person. I
An
don't remember
adopted
the last
family.
name. Yeah, an adopted family. And his dad starts being a janitor at the like institute that he works at, where he
Yep.
does his research, and is kind of like, good, you're turning into the Hulk.
Yeah.
And then he's in an explosion, and he is the Hulk, and the dad's like, perfect. And now I will be sending my mutant dogs to you. I mean, which he got some of his DNA and everything,
Hmm.
and made Hulk dogs, which are from the comics, to
Hmm.
go after Betty,
Yes.
who is his ex girlfriend as of the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
But also, they seem to just work perfectly well together.
Hmm.
Um, eh, and then he saves Betty, but obviously exposes himself, and everyone's kind of like, we got to get him. And Betty's kind of new boyfriend. I feel like he doesn't really care about that aspect of it. He's just trying to, for whatever reason, sell Hulk genes. And I
Sure.
don't mean clothing. He wants to steal the jeans from Bruce Banner so that he
I don't
can
know.
sell this
That's
back to people. And I'm like, I
yeah.
just feel like everyone else in the movie is like, this is bad. No one wants this. And he's like,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna make millions off of this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you basing that off of? The fact that everyone you're around wants this guy dead and gone.
Hmm. Hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, that's Talbot, who is also from the comics.
Hmm.
And then basically the movie is them trying to capture him, and the three
Experiment.
men, Talbot, Thunderbolt Ross, and David Banner, are trying to get Bruce to do certain things at certain times.
Hmm.
And Bruce is working through his very real father issues again, because his father tried to kill him,
Hmm.
but then ended
Hmm.
up killing his mom.
Hmm.
So I appreciate what you're saying about therapy and everything. I think this
Hmm.
is a very good example of, I understand what they're doing. I don't think it's well executed.
I would agree with that.
I don't think the presence of it in the movie means that it's automatically good. And I'm not saying that means people shouldn't like it. I think that one, uh, I don't like the Eric Bana performance because he's so not human in it,
Hmm.
that I don't feel like there's a difference between him and and Hulk.
Hmm.
I just feel like we've had these other iterations where, like, even if you go by Bill Bixby, of like, when he hulks out, it's like, yeah, fuck, we're now gonna get some pathos from him hulking out and letting loose.
Hmm.
Versus in this movie, you're kind of like, I don't know, he actually seems way more like uh with it when he's Hulk.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like you're never afraid for Betty's life. You're actually more afraid when he's Bruce, and because
Hmm.
she has that dream where he chokes her out, and then he does choke her out when he's
Hmm.
Bruce, not the Hulk. And
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I don't, like, what? I don't really get what the downside of the Hulk is in this. It's not
Yeah.
like, other than he's like, I don't remember what happened, but you're like, but you didn't even do anything bad when you were the Hulk. Like,
Yeah.
everything you do is justified. It's like, oh, gotta save this person. Oh, I gotta do, like, someone is prodding me and I'm reacting poorly. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you didn't. It's not like the Mark Ruffalo Hulk that's like going through South Africa and like breaking everything and killing people.
Hmm.
It's like, I don't know, man. Like, you're out in the desert where you're not hurting anyone,
Yep.
and you seem to just want to be doing this thing. So it feels like he's way more with it when he's that. And so to have him be, and I said humorless, but I more mean just like nothing. He's just
Sure.
on screen because everyone else has to pour into him, and I don't think that's a good way to have a lead character.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the primary issue with the Hulk. It is just like Bruce Banner for the most part just basically does not want the movie to happen. You know what I mean?
But I
So
don't feel
it's
that way about him in this movie. I don't think he doesn't want the movie to happen. He's just nothing.
yeah,
He's not
and
he's not for or against anything in this movie.
it's true. It's true. And that's why I bring up the Ong Lee aspect of it and Chinese filmmaking and all those types of things where it's like this is clearly one of those things where it's very, very coded in Chinese storytelling where it's like it's not supposed to there doesn't need to be a hero, there doesn't need to be traditional protagonist and antagonist. It just needs to be a story. And the story is him just being like basically a victim and just victimized the whole time, right? And just telling the story about his trauma and how he's finding his way to deal with it by actually facing it as opposed to turning it away. So I do agree with you. Eric Bana's presentation of Bruce Banner is very, very disconnected because Bruce Banner in itself is disconnected from everything, trying to suppress everything there. So I'm not saying it's a good performance. I'm just saying it makes sense on paper. And that's one of the things that I do appreciate. But to me, it seems like the most stereotypical portrayal of childhood trauma and dissociative identity disorder, as well as with what Betty Ross is doing. Basically, oh yeah, you got daddy issues. That's the most like the fact that she's like, I don't know why I'm attracted to men that are distant. I'm like, really?
I
You
mean,
don't
she
see
does
why?
say the next line is her being like, "Oh, it must be because they remind me of my dad." But like,
Sure.
um, I
But still, like, don't say I don't know why, and then immediately be like, yeah, nail on the head. That's the reason
but
why.
that's also what I don't like about the acting in this, is
Yes.
that, like, I would say of the Ang Lee movies I've seen, if it's not about unrequited love,
Mhm.
then it is about like a burning passion. And you're right that that's not something that is in his movies and or other Chinese film
Mhm.
and storytelling. That's not something that's like on the surface, but you
Mhm.
do see the subtext of it and
Yep.
everything. And I don't see that here. And
Yep.
and I'm not even going to base it on other Chinese films. I'm basing it on his films
Mhm.
and knowing what he wanted to accomplish, which was a Greek tragedy.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that doesn't mean there's the Chinese influence, because obviously that's his upbringing and that he's going to bring that to, even if he says he's actively trying to do Greek tragedy, there will be his upbringing and just his style that comes through in that. So I'm
Yeah.
not trying to disprove what you're saying. I'm just saying I've seen him do it way better elsewhere.
That
So
is,
like
yeah.
that, yeah, so that doesn't really go that far for me, because I'm like, I mean, but he knows how to do that.
Sure.
What I saw here was it looked like he was so focused on the comic booky stuff of like, which I appreciated, like the
Mhm.
panels and the transitions and the camera work, that
Mhm.
he forgot about, again, in my experience of it, like I even like Gemini Man, which that's what I mean by like burning passion. That's not really an
Mhm.
unrequited love story, but like
Mhm.
very obviously you've got Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon as
Mhm.
unrequited love. You've got Brokeback Mountain as unrequited love, and the burning passion of like
Mhm.
a Gemini Man or Life of Pi. I need
Mhm.
to watch more Ang Lee films, but what I'm saying is like when he's in the zone, he knows how to. He can get that subtext out of his actors that I don't think he's getting out of his actors in this movie.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The things that you listed off, very, very much good representations of what Ong Lee can successfully do. In this, I do agree that there's too many ideas that don't cohesively come together. They're good ideas individually, like what you were talking about with the comic book panel portrayal of everything. I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's and it just is wildly inconsistent, and that's where the comedy comes from, in my opinion. Is just like, oh, you're
Well,
doing
yeah, like when
this.
Talbot gets blown up, that
That's
Talbot, sorry, not Talbot,
ridiculous.
that
Yeah,
has to be comedy. Like
yeah, it's the most
that has to
ridiculous
be a
thing.
joke. But I just feel like, um, yeah, I wasn't. I'm just not into the performances, and maybe that's
Mhm.
just my thing. I'm more of a performance guy, because I do think that
Mhm.
everything you're saying is there. The whole he needs to be
Mhm.
disconnected, but I
Yep.
think you can do that in a way where I feel like there's something bubbling underneath there,
Mhm.
and I don't see that in Eric Bana. I don't when Jennifer Connelly does her, oh, why do I go for guys like this? Oh, I get. I'm like, do you what? What are you
Yeah,
doing?
it's
You're a
weird.
good actor. You just won an Oscar. What are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
I,
it's like, hey, we won the award. Let's phone it in for this one,
like
which
I
is
feel like the
ridiculous.
only person that I'm no, I shouldn't say. I feel like the dads are in the zone. Like
Nick
Thunderbolt
Nolte,
Ross, Nick Nolte, and Sam
Sam Elliott.
Elliott.
Yeah.
They're in the zone. They actually know what they're doing,
Yes.
and then that goes down to like casting these veteran actors who know their shit.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then like I'm just like, what is happening with your two stars? Because for a big part of it, it is a Betty movie.
Yes.
Like they take time to show her like trying to connect with her dad. Like you don't see that with other like superhero quote unquote love interests.
Hmm.
There's not really any effort to be like, what is going on with them?
Hmm.
They're just in service to the main hero.
Hmm.
Versus this, where it's like, well, this is her story too. Like she's involved in this,
Hmm.
and she will be a damsel in distress sometimes, but mostly she's trying to find her way back to her dad, just the way he's trying to find his way back to his dad. And
Hmm.
they're connected because of circumstances, but not because this is going to help Bruce when she connects with her dad. She just genuinely needs to connect with her father.
Hmm. No, I do agree with those things. The performances do fall flat, and I did I completely forgot that Jennifer Connelly won an Academy Award immediately before this, which is it does make it a little bit more funny. But you're right in the sense that it the performances are falling very, very flat, and I don't know if that's just because he was like, I want the CGI to like really wow people, and this is less
Well, I
important,
mean,
but
he
which is a
is the
bad
Hulk,
choice.
which I don't
Yeah,
feel like is
yes.
actively said. Like specifically in the credits. But yeah, it is Ang Lee
in the
like
mocap. Yeah.
playing the Hulk, which I'm
Yes.
like, oh, that's cool, good for him, and apparently doing the voice. Even
But it's
though I feel
also
like when they did the movie, or I feel like when it came out, they were saying it was Lou Ferrigno, but apparently not. It was Ang Lee doing the voice.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Lou Ferrigno probably gets credited with a growl or something like that. Like, and like he's done in every single movie. But at the end of the day, it is Ong Lee, and that to me is a weird choice. Like when I found that out this watch through, I was like, oh, there's a complete disconnect between Eric Bana and the Hulk, and that may be the reason why. But at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, even when they come together at the end, when they're like symbolically like, oh, they're one and the same. I'm like, to your point, it doesn't feel like he ever lost control as the Hulk. He's been very, very much like, I'm not going to hurt people in any
Mm-hmm.
capacity. I'm just going to use
And
my
the Hulk
roar
doesn't.
to intimidate them and actively like, oh, cool. On the Golden Gate Bridge, the Golden whatever that's bridge is in San Francisco, he actively like, oh, I'm going to prevent this bridge from crashing into the thing. So it's just like, how much control does he have over it? It's inconsistent, and it's just a lot more than you would think. And I think one of the major issues I've always had from the Hulk and every iteration I've seen from it doesn't actually show there being an anger issue before he becomes the Hulk. And that's what's really strange to me. It's just like everything I see of Bruce Banner is just like you're timid, you're this, you're this, you're this, but there's no anger issue. I genuinely wish that there was a
Well,
scene
I
when
mean,
he was a teenage.
if there was ever going to be an anger issue, it's going to be this movie where he has so much
Yes.
repressed trauma. So I don't know what else they would do. Like to the extent that you said you appreciated it,
Yeah.
that seems like a weird comment to make because it's there. You saw it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
saw what it
And
was.
listen, my wording was I appreciate it a lot more this time.
Okay.
I still think it's not a good movie, but
Okay.
at the end of the day, I can appreciate the elements that they're trying to put into the recipe of this whole movie, so to speak, right? But to me, I'm like, I almost wish there was a scene where, as a teenager, he got in trouble for fighting at school or something like that, and just like his mom was like, do you want to talk about it? And then he's just like, I just went blank. I just don't even know what, can't remember what happened. Like, give me something, It's
I
just, it
mean, they
doesn't
are
make
giving
sense.
him something. Just I think it comes down to performance, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't like the Eric Bana performance because he's not bringing anything forward from
Hmm.
what they were doing, which was, yeah, when he was a kid, his mom says that's just Bruce. He doesn't react to anything. Like even they did a lot of good show not tell. Like when the
Hmm.
dad's taking his blood and he's just calmly there. Like I'm like, there's like no chance a kid would do that. So
Yeah.
something is there, something is off, right?
Hmm.
That he would be so calm with that. Or when they said, yeah, the kid was bullying us and Bruce didn't do anything, and the
Hmm.
mom goes like, yeah, it's just him. You know that he's about to blow. Like that's what the movie's setting up.
Hmm.
But that doesn't come, as I said, that's not subtext in what I see
Hmm.
Eric Bana doing.
Hmm.
You needed to bring that forward into your present day scenes. That idea that like, okay, like I wasn't really doing anything as a kid, but it's building up, I'm going to pop now. That's
Hmm.
not what he's doing. But
Yep.
as you said, on paper it is there.
Yeah, it's there on paper. It just never gets executed, and that's why I'm like, even as Eric Bana, as Bruce Banner, later on in life, I'm like, put your fist through a wall or something like that. Just do something that lets me believe that you're not a complete pushover, because that's exactly what it makes it seem. And I'm like, that doesn't tell me that you're angry and will rage out like that. That just tells me that you're going to drink yourself into oblivion or do self-harm stuff more than
Mm-hmm.
anything else. Like, and that's where there's such a big disconnect here, is like the fact that, you know, and this is not this movie, but the fact that he's like, if he's always angry, then I'm like, you're not displaying any of that in a point in time that tells me that this has always been an issue for Bruce. You know what I mean? And that's a problem to me. I really, really wish that we spent that time, especially specifically within the teenage years, because I fully get, um because what the movie makes it seem like, at least to me, is that the genetic testing that David
Yeah.
David Banner does on himself, and then has Bruce, is just like, oh, it makes it seem like, oh, the genetic testing is the reason why he's as
That is what happened. It's the Amazing Spider-Man, which is
Mhm,
he just needed the to unlock it with the spider bite, or this time the Gamma, but it was always in him.
sure.
The dad made him this way
Right, but
in both movies.
yeah, but I'm just specifically talking to the rage. Unless it's like you're right to point out the fact that I'm like, yeah, a kid would never sit still for that kind of stuff. It's weird. The whole thing is weird. That's why I want as a teenager where you would expect the hormones to really amplify and really take over. And usually that's when we see like the first kind of expression of these kind of outbursts and dissociative identity disorder changes and all that kind of stuff around that time. And the movie just didn't do that. And that's a major miss in my opinion, because it's just like if this movie is doing so much to look at specifically trauma and how it affects and all those kind of things, they're not doing it a good enough job. But
Well, that's why I brought up what
mhm.
Ang Lee's intention was, which was Greek
Yes,
tragedy. So in that sense, he did what, like, he
sure.
accomplished that. It,
Yeah,
I think that it would be interesting, but I don't think that would be a 2003 movie.
probably not.
That they would deal with it the way you're asking for them to deal with it. What he's
Probably.
doing is a Greek tragedy, which isn't going to. There's going to be elements of it, but that's not going to be a focus of it,
Mhm,
right? Like you are swinging for the fences and doing these big things, and then just having the characters deal with it in that moment,
mhm,
which is kind of what this movie's doing.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, I that's why I can appreciate what is there and what I know is trying to be accomplished. I just don't
Mhm,
think that it comes together
mhm,
well.
mhm.
But I don't think it was trying to be a deep study of those specifics that I know you're keyed into.
Yeah, see, and that might be because I'm seeing it this time around. That's why I'm talking to it more. Um, and generally I see these things because of my life experiences and all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. So you see what you see based on your own life experiences, and that's what I got out of this watch through. But at the same time, like I said, I appreciate it more. I don't think my opinion of this movie has changed that much,
I
which
think
is rough.
it's like I think a big thing I had was watching it and being like, yeah, I don't feel any differently about this.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
then getting to the desert scene where he's like fighting the tanks, which I think is what people say is the most comic accurate. Like that's kind of the Hulk thing. He goes
sure.
and fights the army. I was like, this is good stuff. It
Mhm,
shouldn't be in this movie. Yeah, so for me to say the my favorite part shouldn't even be in the movie is pretty. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I just mean like I think this is interesting, but it is completely different energy. It doesn't look the same, and it
yes.
doesn't, and it has that Wonder Woman problem of like on a revisit, being like he still has to fucking fight his dad in the clouds. Like, we're wasting so much time on this when
Yes.
because at that point he'd already been captured, so there's
Hmm.
no upshot to him fighting the army again.
Hmm.
It's like, well, the only thing that could have happened has already happened, which is they could capture him and he's gonna have to break out.
Hmm.
And he did that already. This is the breakout, but we're acting as if this is like the big showdown, and I know it's not.
Hmm.
And so it's just like, yeah, this they shouldn't have kept. It feels like a studio note. It's a very well executed studio note, but it felt
Hmm.
like a studio note of like, can he do something fun? And they're like, yeah, watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Like one of the biggest issues of this movie is pacing. And that is a prime example of it, where it's just like, oh man, they already dealt with the military, they already did this, like, and he's still got to fight his dad, and that feels rushed towards the end. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's the interesting part of it. I don't like
Hmm.
it, but I'm like, at least he's trying something
Yeah.
with the whole uh his dad who seems like he's absorbing man but not really. Like it
Yeah.
feels like, well, that's an interesting way of doing this, and that's why the desert feels like a studio note of like
Hmm.
this fight with the dad feels like what Ang Lee was always going for.
Yes.
And then someone told him, are you gonna do anything interesting with this Hulk character? And he's like, yeah, the fucking cloud fight. And they're like, no, you know what we mean. And he's like,
Yeah.
fine, you'll beat up some tanks. And also, I don't like the score anytime they make it seem like they're in like mysterious Middle Eastern country. I'm like, you're in fucking Arizona. Stop this. Stop. He doesn't leave the States until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, don't do this. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, it's definitely some weird choices for sure. With the soundtrack, because Danny Elfman, I think, does a decently good job in this. But to me, I'm just like, especially when the credits hit, I'm like, where's that rock song coming from? What the hell is happening right now?
Well,
It's
but
just
it is
unusual.
important to know score and soundtrack are different things. Like,
Yes,
he doesn't have control over what they do with the soundtrack.
I get that, and that's why I'm like, it felt like another studio note of like, yeah, we got this collaboration with this artist or whatever.
Yeah, it's Universal, so I'm sure
Yep.
like they've got a great big library of
Hmm.
songs and artists. But yeah, I think what I do know from listening to Blank Check podcast again is that some other guy did the score, and
Hmm.
everyone was like, absolutely not, get rid of this. And then they brought in Danny Elfman because at that point he'd done Batman and Spider-Man, so they're like,
Hmm.
yeah, get him to do Hulk.
Yeah, he's the
And
guy.
he was just like, I don't see a problem with this other guy's score. I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna do that, but you already paid me. But like, I think there's obvious things that sound like Danny Elfman
Yes.
inventions, but it's widely considered that the stuff I didn't like, which is the faux like Arabic stuff, is
Hmm.
the other guy's stuff that Danny Elfman liked for some reason.
Interesting.
And so he's like, I'm just gonna do that, but different a little bit.
Copied
And I'm
my
just like,
homework, but don't make it obvious.
yeah, and I'm just like, but why? He doesn't leave the States. This doesn't make any sense.
No, it really, really doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
And anyway, yeah, I think I also know of like the long. I can't remember how long they were trying to make this movie, not with Ang Lee, but like
Mhm.
just a bunch of different people, and it was back when they were like, absolutely do not use characters from the comics. I mean, they do technically because
Mhm.
Talbot but they were like, he's not the big person he has to fight. He does technically blow himself up.
Mhm.
So it's like they kept being like, no, he's gonna make mutant bugs that he has to fight, or like, it was just all these things where
Mm.
they kept being like, what's a cool thing he could fight? And most people that were pitching on the movie were like, his villains from the comics, and they're like, absolutely not. Don't bring that nerd
That's
shit into this movie.
that's so weird. That's so weird because I do remember, not like after I watched it, I watched a couple of videos, and apparently Abomination was pitched at some
Hmm.
point specifically for Talbot and
Well,
to
it's like
be.
I think the Zach Penn script, or
Mhm.
maybe not the Zach Penn script. There was a script that is essentially the Edward Norton
Mhm.
movie, like beat for beat.
Right. That makes a lot more sense. But yeah.
Um, but and honestly, if you watch this and then then the Edward Norton movie, it does feel like the Edward Norton movie is just a sequel to this.
Yes, it does.
Like
100% it does.
it feels like they even recreate the accident the same way and everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah,
It's a weird choice for sure.
it's whatever. I don't care about the Hulk. I really, I wish, this is why I was like, I'm glad you liked the movie more, because I'm like, I wasn't even like, how could they ruin such a good character? I was just like, yeah, this is what I would be afraid of if someone was like, I'm making a Hulk movie. This
Yeah.
is not interesting to me.
It's not interesting, you're right, because it's fundamentally, the way I see it is the Hulk is not a hero, but they keep making him do hero things, like the Golden Gate Bridge thing that we talk about, and the fact that he's like, oh, you're not actually hurting people, you're just intimidating them to back down and all that kind of stuff. It's fundamentally weird that they would take that decision, because it just, the Hulk as a character is just like, yeah, you got anger issues. No one understands you, and no one knows how to connect with you except for Betty,
Hmm.
Ross. That's it. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's, I don't know how great of a storytelling device this character
I
can
mean,
actually
it
be.
certainly worked as a TV show. I feel like when you know, like, oh, he's
Yeah,
gonna be somewhere else next week, and we're gonna do it, and the expectation is you're gonna do it all over again.
sure.
That you're like, yeah, I just want him to go somewhere,
Hmm.
have a bit of a problem, and then Hulk out and beat up the bad guy. Like, you're like, okay, we'll
Yeah,
do that for how many ever seasons. I don't know how long that
yeah.
lasted, but I know they're just being greedy, but I'm like, it's one of the saving graces of not having him have his own movies. I'm just like, I don't want to see him in a solo movie. I
I
just
would
like him.
agree with that.
I just like him weaving through other people's stories.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I do not care for the character, the Hulk, at all, and it's it's hard to be perfectly honest. Just because
I
I'm
like
like
I
you're dealing with the
understand
Jekyll and
what's
Hyde
interesting about
situation.
him.
Yeah.
It's just he's ne- I don't feel like I've ever seen him outside of the Mark Ruffalo stuff, and that just happens to be when they were writing it that way. I don't
Mhm,
think it's specific to Mark Ruffalo.
mhm,
The I like Mark Ruffalo. That sounded like a slight to him. It's more just once they realize, like, yeah, this guy just needs to be part of the Avengers and
mhm,
like weave him in and out of other people's stories, specifically like Thor Ragnarok. I'm like, yeah,
mhm.
this is great. I will watch this. This is fun.
Yes.
Um, I just have never been like, yeah, man, like this is it. I
Yeah.
mostly because I don't really like Ed Norton either,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah,
It's hard
they've
to.
never, other than Mark Ruffalo, they've never cast someone as Hulk that I'm a fan of,
True. Hmm.
and I mean that's only three people because the Bill Bixby thing I feel like is different.
Yeah.
Um, but that never helps me get over the hump of
No.
the character, what I see as my own issues with the character. Not that I think it's inherently bad, it's
Hmm.
just not my cup of tea.
Hmm. I agree with that, and I think even when I look at the comic books and all that kind of stuff, when I read comics of the Hulk, he's never really interesting unless he's the villain of the story. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When he's the villain, it's just like, yeah, okay, this is actually great. We're seeing what a misunderstood person in society with powers would eventually end up being because of the isolation from the misunderstanding is a villain. So no matter how you cut it, to me, Hulk is most interesting when everything gets so bad that he is perceived as the villain
Mm-hmm.
of everything and acting in self-interest and all that kind of stuff. That works for me. But the way they use him specifically in a standalone, it's just like, well, he's got to be a hero of some kind. That's where it doesn't work for me, and that's what I completely agree with you on is the fact that once the MCU Hulk being specifically Ruffalo, not Norton,
Mm-hmm.
um, when they take over, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a background character. That's fine. Like you can make him a hero and a background character. Great. Don't give him his own stuff. Don't give him his
But
own
like,
standalone. It won't work unless he's the villain.
and I like that. I understand what people don't like about this storyline. I
Mhm,
still think it's good. I like that his storyline, and it is started in Edward Norton's Hulk or
mhm.
Incredible Hulk. Um, I like that it's about him needing to realize that he needs to work with it instead of get rid of it.
Yes.
Whereas in this movie, I'm like, I don't like what do you. Yes, logistically, it would suck that you lose hours at a time as the Hulk, but I don't feel like the other people at least sell this idea of like this is this thing that I can't control, and then if it
Mhm,
gets loose, I'm gonna hurt people. I'm like,
mhm,
literally, the person you care most about, this thing has no interest in hurting, and he doesn't even really lash out at any human. He's
mhm.
lashing out at like machines throughout the movie.
Yep. And
Like he trashes the office, he trashes the tanks, helicopter, but it's like
mhm,
he's not like beating up on human. The only thing he beats up on, and it doesn't. And I hated this the first time I saw it. I didn't like it this time. Is when he's fighting the like mutant dogs, and I'm just like,
sure.
what is this? He's like punching them in the groin. Why is this happening? This is
Yeah, it's a
stupid.
weird choice. That's a weird choice when he
And then
punches
how
the
he like
dog in the
rips them
groin.
apart. I'm like, all right, buddy, like relax.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that he's trying to save Betty, and this isn't really like a character thing. It's just more like, why is this happening for so long? I get it. He fought the mutant dog.
Yeah.
Can we be done now?
I mean, it's the only time in the movie where he actually is hurting something and
Yeah,
being like a pest and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, even then, it's not because it's like, okay, what were your choices? Like, let Betty die, or like, you know what
and
I
I
mean?
feel like
It's
they also like. I don't think the right word is undercut, but it'd be one thing if you're like, oh no, those poor innocent dogs, but then like they kind of just poof, and it feels like they're less of a
yeah, it doesn't feel
living
real.
human being. Like it doesn't feel real because they poof. and that's a choice they made to, like, I'm
Sure.
assuming, to make it less upsetting
Yes.
what he's doing to those dogs. But it's just like,
Yeah.
well, it worked because now I don't feel that bad for those dogs because
Yeah.
they kind of just poo. Seems like they were already dead. Like,
Yes, yes, and it's just one of those things where you really got to pay attention in the movie to be like, oh, okay, so David said they were unstable. Is this what he meant? And because there was the frog exploding in the first
mhm,
act and all, you really have to piece that together to be like, oh, that's why they exploded. But in the moment when you're just like in watching the fight scene and all that kind of stuff, you're just like, wait, did that dog just literally turn into green dust? Like
mhm,
it feels like a little firework went off. And it's ridiculous unless you connect it to that
mhm.
beginning part of the movie, which is weird because it's just like, well, hold on one second. Those things, those strains, whatever you want to call it, they were unstable. But Bruce is clearly stable, and you got the blood from the DNA from Bruce to put into these dogs.
Yeah, but he
So
mixed it
why
with
is
their shitty blood, so there's
okay?
yeah.
That's probably why. Then that makes a little bit more sense now that you explain it like that.
I feel bad saying their shitty blood, but that's the point of the movie, is that they weren't ever gonna work until he got the Bruce Banner blood.
Yeah.
I don't. I also understand that obviously, if your dad kills your mom in front of you, you got to go live with someone else. But I was just like, why? Why are they doing this thing where he like doesn't remember he was a Banner and they changed his name? Like, it feels needless. Like,
Oh,
it's
that
not.
actually does make sense to me.
I don't think story wise it helps anything
It doesn't
because it
help
doesn't
anything.
because it doesn't play into anything he's feeling in the movie beyond he doesn't recognize Nick Nolte. But then
Mhm.
once he does, it's not like he's like, Dad, you owe me for this. It's just kind of like he's the same as he was at the beginning of the movie,
Mhm.
as Eric Bana. So that's what I mean by I don't think it makes sense. Not, again, everything here on paper makes sense. I think that's what people like about
Sure.
this movie, is
Mhm.
that you can't, you can make an argument, I would say, that everything that happens in it makes sense and should be there. I
Yes.
don't think there's a lot of people that would be like, oh yeah, for sure, get rid of this, because as you said, everything counts. Like, everything is
Mhm.
accumulative, but it's not played by the some of the actors in it
Mhm.
bring along. It's just that you can connect the dots if you see it laid out on paper.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is that the fact that he forgets about the mom and the dad and all that kind of stuff, it fully makes sense in the context of how trauma works and how the DID works and all that kind of stuff, which is what they're trying to get across without actually naming it and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense on paper, like you said, but it doesn't make sense the way they execute it. Because like that one scene where Jennifer Connelly is like, "Hey, tell me about your parents," and all this kind of stuff, and he just immediately gets defensive. I'm like, yeah, that's a good moment where he could have shown his rage, but he doesn't. He just actually respectfully just puts up a boundary and like, hey, we're in a work environment, so let's not. Like if he like threw an Erlenmeyer flask or something like that, and you're like, I told you to stop talking about this, that would make sense to me. It also make sense to me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably why they're not together anymore, is because he couldn't control his rage
Mm-hmm.
while they're together. Like all those things would make sense. And that's why I'm hanging on to this. I'm like, I really wish they showed Bruce having some legitimate anger issue or some like short trigger or something like that. But it
I
does not do that at all. And that sucks.
I understand. I just don't know that it matters if they show that he's got a short fuse, because they're showing that his trauma has made him dysfunctional. So like at
Yep.
that point, I don't really need it to be that he gets angry easily. I
Mm.
just, and especially since that's not what they're doing for the Hulk. That's what I mean by everything actually makes sense when you lay it out.
Mhm.
Like, the Hulk's not this extension of his anger
Mhm.
in practice in the movie.
Yep.
So
Which
then
doesn't
why
make
would it
sense.
need to be something that they show ahead of time?
Yeah. It and that's the weird part, right? It's they're just not willing to commit to him being perceived as anything but the hero. And that's why he's like, "Oh yeah, he's not actually hurting people here." And I'm like, "That
But that's what I'm
sucks."
saying. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think that he fundamentally is a terrible lead character because he's not doing anything.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like them trying to protect him. It feels like they don't know what to do with him,
Hmm.
and that really it's a Betty story. She's the one that goes on more of an arc.
Yep.
Um, and he's just there because they need someone to turn into the Hulk. I don't think they're worried about him looking like the bad guy. This is given the people making it, I know Kevin Feige has his name on it, but given the people who are actually in charge here with the money, they're like, it's the Hulk. People know who the fucking Hulk is. Just do the thing. They're not. I don't think they're worried at all about how he's going to come off. I think he's just fundamentally not a well realized character, even if he was well written. I don't think he's a well realized character. I put that on the direction, and especially because I know he has directed way better performances, and I put that on the actor for not making better choices. Yes, it feels like his choice was just, well, he's frozen in fear from the day that his mom got killed in front of him, except for that the movie's like, nah, he's just always frozen in fear. But it feels like Eric Bana's like, well, makes sense. He didn't act when his mom died, and this is just him in Arrested Development. Yeah, I don't. It doesn't come together. I think what I just keep hearing is that you couldn't make this movie today, and that's true. You couldn't, but I don't know that you should. I think that this was a good bridging point so that the Christopher Nolans of the world could make a Batman Begins, where you don't have to worry about having Batman in the suit in the first 5 minutes or something like that. Like that you've shown people will wait. Well, I guess people didn't like this movie, but it is a good bridging thing, but I don't think it is the best version of that kind of movie. It definitely isn't. Definitely not a Kevin Feige MCU movie, and I get the merit in that for people. I like those kinds of movies, but I get the merit in it not being that. I get the merit in what they're trying to think, but I do think that it stops and ends for the person who's directing the movie at, this is a Greek tragedy. And I don't know that they're trying to work out DID. I don't know that they're trying to work out a bunch of stuff. I just know that he wants these big melodramatic things, and that's what he would tell the actors as well, is that he doesn't want them to think that they're in a superhero movie. He wants them to really get into this tragedy of the sins of the fathers.
Which, sure, I mean, like, that's the one kind of attempt at this movie that was like, oh, I never remembered that aspect of how involved the father was in the whole thing of this movie. I just, in the past, I'm just like, yeah, this movie sucks. So I just like don't remember any of it. But like, I think the fact that involving the father and having the dream aspect of it does it's an attempt to explore some of those things, but again, not a solid attempt. It's not a cohesive attempt, so to speak.
No. There's plenty of MCU versions of things that I think explore their topics, these similar topics, way better.
Yes.
And it does come down to performances and what those people are bringing to it. I think that the best you can do is be like, well, it looks different from other superhero movies. Like, I know people are big on, like, they actually went to the desert to film that shit. Sure. Like, yeah, they did. I like that moment where he's looking at the picture and it comes alive and stuff. There's interesting things going on. But I don't feel like that's in service to what Ang Lee wants to get done. And that's why I said it felt like this distraction he had where he was visually trying to do something and forgot about, again, in the limited sample size I have of his films that I respect, he missed the performance. That's why I keep coming back to the word it's not cohesive, because it does seem like, hey, I got this really, really good idea to display these scenes or these shots like comic book panels. I'm like, okay, that's actually smart, but you forgot to tell a good story. And that's the part that really, really sucks to me, because I get the whole, like your comment, it's more of a Betty movie than it is a Bruce movie. I'm like, okay, that's important, because it's just like going back to the DID thing. That would be better to tell from a more reliable narrative standpoint, to make it more Betty focused, right? That would make sense. But then they still commit to the idea of like, she's a woman. She can't be the lead.
Well, sure, but more so the idea of things that just wouldn't make sense from Bruce's standpoint. the whole idea of like, oh, okay, so you hulked out, you lost a few hours of your life, and you're not even curious about that. The fact that you
He's not
survived the
curious about
gamma,
anything.
yeah, the fact that he's like, this is my biggest piss off of the movie. Rewatching it this time, you're a scientist. You know what that gamma explosion was supposed to be. You didn't even not you came out of that completely unscathed,
No, he
and
didn't
you
come out unscathed. He makes a point of being like, I'm better than
yes,
when I went in.
exactly.
And he's just kind of like, anyway.
Yeah,
And that's what I
that's
mean
the
by I
thing. I'm
don't
like,
get the point of him not remembering his parents, because it's like
mhm,
his mom that raised him
mhm.
since he was 4. I think that's when the dad tried to kill him. Was like, don't you want to know about your parents? Like, no. And I'm like,
Th-
he doesn't even feel like he cares. He's just like, no, I'm good.
yeah, and
I
this
don't
is
need.
my
I
biggest
don't
thing.
know.
This
I
is
don't
the
know them.
biggest betrayal of what Bruce he's a freaking scientist. You have to be curious as a scientist. You have to understand or like be like, hey, why did this happen? And I'm sorry, but as a scientist or someone that's thinking like a scientist, I would be like, oh, I just withstood that gamma radiation blast that should have killed everything, that has killed everything up until now. I'm the only one that's not being dead by that. Maybe ask one question. Maybe just ask one question of like, why did I not die, but literally everything else did? Like, that doesn't make sense to
This
me.
is what I mean by the disconnect doesn't work for me, because
Yeah.
it's just a complete like dead end, and not in the like what I would have complained about for
Mhm.
the Daredevil thing of like, I know I can't be Daredevil. It's like he's not even saying I can't be Hulk or I can't. He's just
Mm.
like, oh, I don't
He's
care.
just like, I don't care.
I don't need that. No,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Oh, my dad's
Yeah.
here. He's the janitor. Oh, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
like,
just survived. Not even survived. I was made better by this gamma explosion, because it's not even just like, oh, the power. He's like, you remember my bad knee? It's my good knee now. And it's like,
yeah, that was
what?
ridiculous.
Dude, what? Like, that's it. That's the end of it. That's all he
Yeah.
cares about.
And I'm like, great. I get the fact that, again, carefully laid out plot point where it's like the dad, David, originally was researching this to be like healing and then all
Mhm.
this kind of stuff. So it's just like, okay, your bad knee being your good knee, that's good dialogue to be like this, but then it doesn't make sense why you would be like, but how? Especially as a scientist. I'm like, but how? Like, if I woke up and I was like, wait, my knee doesn't hurt anymore and it's always hurt, uh am I just gonna shrug that off and be like, cool, I
Well,
guess
this
I woke up on the right side of the bed? Like, that doesn't make
That's what I
sense.
mean. He's a nothing character, because in
He's a
another
nothing
movie you
character.
would see him testing this out. You don't need to
Yes.
do it with humor, but he would still be testing it out. You would
Yeah.
see him go through the scientific process
Yeah, the fact
to
that
come to the
Betty,
conclusion that he does come to, which is, yeah, the gamma explosion did this.
yeah,
It made me
exactly.
better.
And like, to that point too, is Betty's the only one, and Betty is a scientist. I'm not saying she's not, but the Betty's the only one that's like, aren't you at least a little bit curious about how you survived that
Hmm.
blast? And he's like, nah, I'm good. I just got a good nap. My knee feels good. Like, let's go do other things now. That doesn't make sense. Like, literally, if you were to wake up and like not remember 8 hours of your life, your instinct wouldn't be like la di da di da di da. It just doesn't make sense. Like, that is a DID thing of like, oh my god, I lost so much of my life because my alters took over or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. Like, that would be something to explore. He just doesn't. He just doesn't
Yeah,
do it, and
that's
it
why I
sucks.
don't see this as a DID allegory, because it's like
It's not a DID allegory.
he's not. He's
It's just
not.
an element that
Every
got
other
lazily
character,
shoved
every
in.
other version of this, I feel like, and I'm including Bill Bixby in this,
Mhm.
has this relationship about how they talk about the other guy,
Yep.
and he's just kind of like, why am I? He doesn't even see it as it's separate. He's like, what, you made me into this Hulk, and it's like, so you're just down with this. Like,
You just
I know you're
accepted that
frustrated, but
it's
you're
you.
like, you have just accepted this is you.
Yeah, which is
Whereas
ridiculous.
everyone else has this thing of like, no, that's the other
Mhm.
guy.
Yep.
We are connected this way, but that's the other guy,
Yep.
and that there is the thing I like, that like I I feel like they don't put their like foot completely on the gas on it, is that Hulk hates Bruce Banner. Like, he
Mhm.
resents the idea, like, no puny Banner. This one is just like, yeah, he just turns green and then doesn't remember what happens when he's green,
Yep.
and it's
But
like,
then is
okay.
apparently is in still full control. while it happens too.
as in, yeah, like I mean, the Mark Ruffalo Hulk up until Endgame
Yep.
is actually just a completely different character because
Yes.
he has to like relearn English and
Hmm.
like he can only know as much English as he is the Hulk.
Yep.
He doesn't have like a like Bruce didn't know who Valkyrie was in that way of like,
Hmm.
wait, do I like yeah, I just feel like there's not they didn't put a lot of effort into nailing down specifics about
No, they
Bruce
didn't.
and Hulk. It's just like
No.
he's there, which is why I
Hmm.
said knowing the people in charge, like the AVR and stuff, just being like, fucking just do it and we'll sell our toys. Like we don't care.
It's what it definitely felt that way. It definitely
that
felt that
that
way.
element, I don't think
Mhm.
the movie comes off as effort, like as a
No, there's
without putting effort in.
just
Effortless doesn't. Yeah, I don't think that it's like, oh, they didn't put any effort into it. I just know the money people were like, we don't give a fuck.
yeah.
Just make the movie, and we'll be able to sell our toys. Which
Yep.
is that was the Marvel thing that they
Mhm.
were owned by a toy company.
Yeah.
Um, so like, I there's a bunch of writers trying their best to do stuff.
Hmm.
Ang Lee has his ideas of what he wants to do,
Hmm.
and that's why I keep dinging the Eric Bana performance.
Hmm.
I'll be honest, there's really nothing Jennifer Connelly can do. I just acknowledge people like her as an actress, and I mean like I don't think it's a bad or good performance. I just don't.
Hmm.
She does nothing for me
It's
acting
flat.
wise.
It's
I'm just
flat.
like I don't care.
Yeah.
Um, I I ding the Eric Bana performance because he needs to be like the reason we care about Hulk, and
Hmm.
or Bruce Banner, and I don't care about either of them.
I agree with that. The big thing about the Jennifer Connelly performance is like, yeah, Betty has to be calm. He has to look for that calmness as the Hulk and all that kind of stuff. But then it just makes it seem like, oh, you're being abused. Because again, going back to what you were talking about, it's like, oh, it's Bruce Banner that chokes her out, not
Mm-hmm.
the Hulk. It makes it seem like, oh, you're in an abusive relationship, which based on the daddy issues stuff that she brings up, that would track. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it feels hard to watch in that situation where you're just like, oh, you're just kind of you're going back to him every single time, even though he's like this person that does
I
hurt
mean,
you.
she does turn him in.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't. I didn't see it that way. That she keeps
Mm.
going back to. I think, as you said, she's a scientist, so she's
Yeah.
like, "This is something interesting that's happening."
Hmm.
I like that it starts with them already broken up, and that they just have a good working relationship. And so
Yeah.
she's like, I don't need to want to marry you or date you to be interested in what's happening here and invested in it and
Yep.
hope to see you do well on the other side. But then, yeah, once things aren't going the right way, she calls it in. She calls her dad and she's like, "You got to take him in."
Yep. So
Um,
no, in yeah, that's I'm just commenting on like how Betty would have been portrayed if like and it just it would be hard to watch because I'm like, yeah,
mhm.
you're just abusing her. Like you're just abusing her straight up. Like in that's the biggest challenge, right? Whether or not as Hulk or as Bruce, I'm like, this is abuse no matter what. And the fact that you keep coming back because like, oh, I'm the only one that can calm him down. I'm like, yeah, that's hard to watch. That's an abusive, toxic thing playing out in front of us. And the movie doesn't do that, but that's what we would see. If it leaned into that aspect of it, which
Fair.
not great. But I do agree with you. It feels like there's a ton of writers with good ideas. Ong Lee's got his ideas, and that's why it doesn't feel cohesive at all because I'm like, these are all independently good ideas. It doesn't weave
I think
together
the
very
only thing
well.
that to me that doesn't feel cohesive is the desert fight.
Sure.
Everything else, I'm like, this is what he wants to do. I mean, we
Hmm.
haven't talked about the dad fight at the end really in great detail, but that's kind of where I'm like, this is you doing what you want to do, and I have to respect it, but I
Sure.
also just don't. This is not for me.
It's not great.
It's
I
like this like haiku of a fight in the sky, and I'm just like, I don't. and this has nothing to do with I want him to punch someone in a comic book movie. If this was in any movie, I'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I don't like this kind of stuff. And that, I think the only thing that saves it is that it's Ang Lee, because I feel like, um, this is my bias. I'm not saying it's
Hmm.
like objectively right. My bias is that, if a white male director does something like that, people are just automatically like, "Yep, he knew what he was doing. That's so poetic. That's so great." But
Yeah.
if, let's say, someone like Jordan Peele has a shoe that doesn't fall down, some people will give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, "Yeah, that must mean something." And other people are like, "I just don't get it. I don't understand. Like, why did he do that? What's the or like other non-white male directors would get dinged for doing something like that,
Hmm.
seen that would be seen as artistic and elevated from a white male. So the only
Yes.
reason I'm like, oh, I'm down with this is because it's Ang Lee and not a white male doing it.
Yeah.
But that is my bias when it comes to that stuff. I'm kind of like, I don't like it because not everyone is able to do this without being criticized.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not
You're right to
everyone gets seen as genius when they do this.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right to bring that up. Because I think the bar is set so low for white male directors in that regard, where it's just like if you're a person of color directing, the lens on you is just so
Like a
much
woman
bigger,
or a
right?
person of color,
Yeah,
which includes
any
women as well. But like,
yes.
I'm trying to say that even white female directors get dinged on that kind of stuff too.
Oh, 100%. Any
Like they
oppressed
don't know
group
what they're
for sure.
doing, or yeah.
Yeah, any oppressed group will get overly criticized for those kind of things that like any white male would get just be, oh yeah, he's like like there's just so much passing and just stuff that's like allowed when
Hmm.
it's a white male director in that kind of sense, and that's true for a lot of other industries like
Yes.
specific that's always going to be true where it's like, oh, he took a risk. I'm like, he put kimchi on steak. it's
Hmm.
not it's not a big deal. It's not fusion food. It's just like, no, you put a condiment from another country on something that people recognize. Not a big deal. Same thing here. Eh,
Well, not same thing here because
no,
this
no,
is
not same
ugly.
thing
Yeah.
here. Sorry, but I mean, like, if Ong Lee were to do that, like, people would be like, "Oh, he just put kimchi on a steak. Like, that's not a big deal." But a white guy does it.
Hmm.
Ooh, revolutionary. It's wild.
Or they'd think it was a misuse of his time. If like,
Yes,
which is more what I get frustrated with, where
right.
people think like the person didn't know what they were doing. I
Hmm.
think that was the whole thing, is that we were getting to this melding and extraction of these two people who have been intertwined
Hmm.
literally through blood but also through testing.
Hmm.
um so I understand why that's there, and
Hmm.
as I said, I respect that it feels like he actually got to get his point across with that.
Yes.
It's just not my style. I don't like it, and I understand that makes me lowbrow, but it's
I,
not for me.
I don't think it makes you lowbrow to not like something. I think
Yeah,
it does.
yeah, it's I appreciate that. But yeah, I just it's not I but it is what I think the movie should have led up to, and I feel
Hmm.
like putting the desert scene before it robs it of its potency.
Yes. Yes. I think the desert scene was placed incorrectly in Act
Hmm.
Three. It should have been within Act Two, where they're chasing him down and trying to get him
That
to
should have ended with him in the tank, or sorry, in
exactly.
the water tank, I should say.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. That's where it should have been, and the pacing of that is just rough. Because that would, unfortunately, if I say that, yes, it makes sense, but then Act Two would be even longer than what it is, and
Hmm.
that's the part that really, really sucks from a pacing perspective. It's just like, yeah, you focus too much on this, not enough on Act One, where it would have made a little bit more sense, and then Act Three felt rushed because you have the desert fight along with the dad fight, along with all these other things that are
I
just
also don't
not
even
necessary.
really know that I can clock what the dad wanted out of this whole thing.
The dad wanted to just be immortal, basically.
Yeah, but like he was like uh,
He was absorbing,
absorbing man or
man.
whatever. I mean, I know they're not allowed to say that because they didn't want any comic book characters in the movie,
Sure.
but I like he had that from time and then was still like egging Bruce on, and I was like, I don't what's happening? What are you doing? Why
Hmm.
is this? why are you still doing this? And sometimes he'd be like, my boy, and like sad, and then other times he'd just be like a mustache twirling villain, like I'm
Mhm.
gonna I'm gonna sick the dogs on her, and I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, like the I when you were describing the Sam Elliott and Nick Nolte performances being a little bit more solid, I would push back on the Nick Nolte stuff because it just seems like he's like, this movie sucks, I'm just gonna have fun with it. Because there's
That's not
it,
how he felt. He was very happy to be there, and
interesting. Okay.
I don't see that at all. I think there's a very clear sign when people are phoning shit in. I
Mhm.
think he's doing what he and Ong Lee discussed.
Sure.
I just think it's not in service of anything good, but I
Yeah.
don't think that he's phoning it in. I think he
Mhm.
is locking in with what's being asked of him to
That's
be
fair.
this problem in the world,
Mhm.
which means that, yeah, some of it is going to seem unhinged or not um, cohesive, but that's not on his performance. That's on
Mhm.
how it's edited together and,
Sure.
um, to a larger extent, how it's directed.
And how it's written.
Because I do think that me not understanding what he wants doesn't mean that I think he's giving a bad performance. I just think
That's
it's a
fair.
good performance in service of something that doesn't make sense.
Sure. Sure. And it's what the dad wants in general doesn't make sense,
Hmm.
right? And that's the biggest thing is just like it only makes sense to him, the dad. And it only makes sense from his own perspective, which is, it's upsetting because I think the great thing about some villains is you can understand a little bit of what their motives and
Well,
intentions
that
are and why. You can't understand the dad because it's just like, oh, it's literally all about you. You wanted to do this. You don't want to be held back by the red tape. You didn't want it's just all about his own narcissism, which is just like it's hard to understand at any point in time because it's just like, oh, so you just
yeah,
wanted to be a
he's this
god.
frustrating thing,
Yeah.
which is the Greek tragedy part of it.
Hmm.
That he's this frustrated, like he saw him said, I felt like I got to play King Lear, which
Hmm.
is a character where he goes mad, so not everything makes sense all the time. But like,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, who knows? Like, that's also when he was making this movie is when he has that famous mug shot where he
Hmm.
was like drunk driving.
Sure.
So like, who knows how reliable him saying he liked that thing is?
Hmm.
But I do think that comments like I felt like I got to do King Lear doesn't really sound like someone who's like, fuck that movie.
That's fair.
I think what you're saying about like being able to at least understand where the villain's coming from makes sense for the Thunderbolt Ross of it, like Sam Elliott's character,
Yes.
because it's like, yeah, what do you want him to do? Like he's in charge here, and he even has moments of being like, yeah, fuck that Talbot guy. He's
Hmm.
going rogue. I don't like it. I don't like the cut of his jib, and
Hmm.
also he is like the big part where Betty's like, we got what we wanted out of Hulk, like don't hurt him, and then
Hmm.
he does actually say, yeah, man, like everybody guns down, like
Stand down. Yeah.
stand down. I'm like, yeah, so I feel like he could have very easily. I'm like, no, I want him dead, and then
Yep.
it was, oh, just go for it. But he's still a bad guy. But that's what I mean by like
Hmm.
he's one of the more reasonable characters in the movie,
Hmm.
where he's like, well, she's not wrong. He's
Hmm.
not gonna hurt anybody. I can see he's not gonna hurt anybody. I don't want him to be out and about, but we're not gonna kill him.
Hmm.
Also, he might have known that you can't shoot him and kill him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did know that, but we know that as the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
But like he is almost too reasonable in the movie. Like
Yeah.
because all the bad stuff happens off screen in terms of, we're watching the part of his life
Hmm.
where he's like, I do need to reconnect with my daughter.
Yes.
Um and I'm not saying I want to see him being a bad dad. Like I just trust her that he was a bad dad because he's in
Yeah.
the army.
Hmm.
Um but it's like yeah, from what I see of you, you seem to actually know your shit. And
Yes.
it is technically not a good idea to have the Hulk out and about, even though we as
Hmm.
the audience can see he's not really a harm to anyone other
Hmm.
than property.
Hmm.
And as I said, that I felt like that was a great beat of him actually telling everyone to stand down. When he
Yes.
like, I feel like other movies would have had him try anyway and be like, "Nah, don't listen to her."
Yeah. And I think the problem with that move of like Ross being a reasonable guy is that it happens so fast in Act Two, where he just like him and Betty are just like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have just neglected him and like let him fend for himself. I should have probably taken a little bit more responsibility in that. That happens in Act Two. So like
Hmm.
by in Act Three already, he's already stepped aside. He's already stepped aside and been like, I'm not the villain anymore. I just need to take responsibility for this, which is completely accurate because I'm like, yeah, you can't be the general and be like, yeah, I caused this mess up, so I'm gonna let him run all over San Francisco, destroy all this property. Like
Hmm.
he's still got to be like, okay, let's catch him, let's see what we can do, and all this kind of, let's de-escalate the situation, which he does, and that's
Hmm.
why it's like, yeah, okay, let's stand down right now. This is not effective. He just effectively empathizes and deals with that very early on, and not to the degree where it's like you would expect, where he just continue in Act Three to be like, no, guns, 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 but then see a moment between him and Betty, which I think they do in other movies where it's like, oh, okay, you're attacking him, but he's actively trying to save Betty,
Hmm.
as the Hulk. And that's where he's like, wait, hold on. I need to reevaluate this position, right? That is done better in much other movies, but in this, it's just, yeah, the words made sense to him in Act Two, and that's why it's just like, okay, we just are on your side by Act Three to be like, yeah, you can't let him just destroy everything and all that kind of shit.
I mean, to me, I don't see him as the good guy at any point. Like he's still like, I'm gonna destroy this thing.
Yes, he's still very
I
selfish.
don't want him out and alive. He's just
Mhm.
not going to take him out the dishonorable way.
Correct. He's still a shitty person, but not all the way shitty like
Talbot,
David is, or Talbot is. Is the in
like
the
Talbot is the very like weirdly written. Like as I said, I what do you mean you're going to sell this to someone? The only people you'd sell it to are actively being like, we don't want this shit in the world.
Yeah, that's the thing that really really is weird to me through the whole movie. They're just
Like
like,
the like president was on the phone. Like if you thought you were gonna get like government contracts, the president's on the phone. Be like, yeah, fucking get rid of him.
yeah, because and this is the part that really really does suck, is like, okay, yeah, let's remove the comic book aspect of it, because like we know that the Hulk was kind of made through experimentation of trying to replicate the super soldier serum, but they're
Hmm.
not going to touch that. So it's just like, okay, we still got to militarize this, which is, it's still realistic because yeah, if you find technology like that, the military will find a way to weaponize it. But the part that sucks is the Talbot storyline. Oh, you're a third party. You're not a part of the government. You're just manufacturing stuff for the government, and the government's actively telling you, yeah, we don't want that. Like,
Hmm.
we didn't want that in the 60s. We don't want that now. So it's just like, what are you actually doing here? You're not effective whatsoever. You're just like this weird plot point that was, I guess, cast, and it's like, oh, we decided you're not going to be an abomination, so we're going to kill you off in the most ridiculous way possible.
Yeah.
It's silly. And even
Um.
then, I will say, Talbot had a better plan for subduing the Hulk than Ross did. Like that whole like putty
mm,
gun thing. It's just
yeah,
like,
but then
okay,
he launched a rocket at him in that closed space.
yes,
So
because
not a good plan.
no, because he lost control of his own emotions. But at the same time, I'm
I
like,
mean,
yeah, okay, the plan to subdue him was a little bit more effective than what the military had, where it's like, let's just fire missiles at him. I'm like, that's not subduing anything. You're just either gonna kill him or make him worse.
yeah. I'm gonna go on record as saying I don't think anyone had a good idea there.
Yeah, that's true. No one does.
I
Because the
I
idea
think
that Talbot's like, oh, I just got beat up, but I'm going to put myself in the same room without any guards and without any kind of things, with banners, and the Hulk, while you're actively trying to get the Hulk to Hulk out, is like, that doesn't make sense.
yeah, the whole either you Hulk out and I kill you, or you don't and I get to beat you up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
do you don't think that he's gonna Hulk out and just beat the shit out of you? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. I'm as the Hulk is like, oh, I misunderstood you. I didn't realize you just wanted some DNA. Here you go. That's not gonna happen. What the
At
hell?
least that happens before the whole they're trying to drill him and they can't get through his skin. I was like,
Yeah.
at least he doesn't know how stupid this plan is yet. But you
Yeah.
should still feel like a Hulk would beat you up.
Yeah, you should be very much like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this whole thing
Yeah.
over here. as opposed to being in the room. Like, what the hell? While I'm bandaged up and all this kind of stuff. By the way, when people are complaining about the MCU Hulk being nerfed in terms of power and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, this one's pretty weak too, because he just hulked out through Talbot. And Talbot's just got a couple bandages on. He's not severely dead or in a coma or anything like that. So I'm just like,
Well, it's certainly not like
it's
Emil
weird.
Blonsky,
Yeah.
who had like pins in his body and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sure. I'm never like, I want to see him rage out because I'm like,
It's not interesting.
how's that interesting?
It's not. It's really, really not.
I want to see the struggle.
Yeah.
I don't really find it interesting that he just loses it and
Mhm.
and then destroys everything.
Yeah. It's not. It's
But
for the record, it's
again,
not interesting.
I started this saying Hulk's not my guy. So if that is something that people like, I'm not saying they're wrong. I know that people have said this is very comic accurate, and I'm like, yeah, this is how I know I'm just not a Hulk fan.
Yep. Yep. And I'm not a Hulk fan too. And I severely I suspect that people are like, oh, I love the Hulk and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, is it because you see the Jekyll and Hyde nature in yourself as well? And this is like, oh, I could be a hero if I do this. Because I'm like, you're not paying enough attention. This is not a hero. This is just someone that has not really taken care of their mental health up until certain points. And then even,
Yeah,
it's not
I
even
mean,
that successful.
I get how he's a hero. I just don't care for his heroics.
Yeah, that's fair because this movie definitely just does try to portray him as a hero in the sense where it's like, yeah, you're not actually going to hurt anyone. You're just going to intimidate them.
And I know that a lot of people, like Eric Bana in particular, use the show as their version of the Hulk,
Sure.
which is that's heroic. Like, I'm gonna remove myself from places until I get pulled into something where I have to help,
Yep.
and then the Hulk comes out. I understand that is a hero. But it also comes with that struggle of like, he's only doing that because he doesn't want to get involved and he doesn't want to accidentally hurt someone. But then, like, everything goes against what he wants, and then he has to Hulk out. And that's the thing. So I'm sure there's versions of that in the comics as well, or if not, then it's still popular culture wins out, and most people knew that TV show. Like that was bigger than comics at that point. And so like, I understand the appeal. It's just not for me.
Yeah. It's kind of like, no, I agree with you. It's not for me too. I mean, this character is not well done as far as I'm concerned. The best storytelling for this character is MCU stuff. And a lot of people that like the comics, they're like, that's not really the Hulk. And I'm like, well, what are we doing? Like, what are we?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, when I hear that, I'm like, fair enough. But that's how I know that I'm probably not that into the character then. That if I like this movie version of it, that's so against what you want. And that doesn't make them wrong. That's what they grew up with. And I do think there is, for the original stuff, there was effort put into it to have these allegories and to mean something to people. And if they found that in the comics, great. It's just I didn't. And then I saw what I saw that I liked, and I was like, yeah, let's do more of this.
Yep. Like I said, the stuff I do like from the comics that does feature Hulk, he's usually the villain in it. Because it's actually just complex at that point, as opposed
I'm reading
to
the Ultimates now, and he's a villain in the Ultimates, and I'm like,
yeah,
man, that's scary shit. I like that.
Yeah, because it's a genuine threat, and it's a compelling position to put the heroes in, where it's like, hey, we actually like Bruce Banner, but actually this, and like that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, this is actually interesting, but he has to be the villain, and they're just, this isn't it, and they probably are not going to commit to that with Ruffalo's Hulk. So it's just hard for me to actually.
Everything they say about him coming back in Spider-Man is that he's gonna be pretty scary in it and not
interesting,
not in control.
Okay, well, that's interesting to
that sounds like
undo some of the character development that they've done over all those movies.
Audience when they shouldn't.
Yeah, that I don't like that at all.
But I'm sure it'll look cool.
That is true.
I'm sure it'll look cool.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else we want to say? I didn't get it. As I said, I didn't really get into the father fight because it's just not for me. I don't have anything smart to say about the father fight.
Yeah.
Visually, I like that it's something else. I just don't like the actual product. I just like the idea that someone tried something different.
Yeah, yeah. The father fight to me is just it's weird because symbolically I get what they're trying to do, but then the whole movie betrays that fight in the sense where it's like, no, you had control over the Hulk the whole time, as evidenced by everything that we've said. So it's like the fact that the father fight is supposed to be the thing that brings him to that point. It actually doesn't, and the only thing you get is, oh, he's talking as the Hulk in English. That's the only indication that you get. And I'm just like, it's not that's not really that important because he already effectively through act 1 and 2 already didn't hurt anyone and was actively just trying to get away from situations, and that's it.
Yep.
It just from a behavioral standpoint, what he did was already in line with what you're supposed to do at the end of the movie. That's the part that sucks.
Again, I'm gonna come back to he's a nothing character
He
because
is a
there's no
nothing
real
character.
there's no real like path he goes on emotionally. On paper, I understand what the
Yeah.
path is. Emotionally, I don't see a difference. And as you said, the first time he hulks out, you're kind of like, I mean, he looks kind of scared. And then the
Yep.
first time he's in a position to hurt someone that we care about as the audience, he actively is not going to do that. So you're like,
Hmm.
I don't really see the downside here
Hmm.
outside of for specifically Bruce Banner losing hours of his life. I get that that's bad. I'm
Yes.
not trying to minimize that as much as it sounds. I am kind of minimizing it to be like,
True.
if we're doing a Hulk story, why would you make it so you don't make it feel that unappealing?
Yeah. And you don't make the Bruce Banner character not care about losing those lapses of time. Like when in Ragnarok, when Ruffalo was like, I've been the Hulk for 3 years, I'm like, that's an appropriate response. You lost 3 years of your life.
That and
That's
him just being like, you just want access to me to get to the
yes.
Hulk. And as I said, there's all the other people who have done it
Mhm.
have had the right type of relationship with Hulk and Bruce Banner, I feel.
Yeah.
And this one is just like, I don't know, you don't care about anything, so what is this? Like
Yeah.
you're such a ho hum whatever the fuck that I don't care.
Yeah, you're just like a la di da di da kind of guy. It was just like, oh, you're a scientist, but you're not curious about anything. You you lost hours of your life. You don't even care. You don't even wonder why your knee is good. And here's one thing I will say about this movie that I forgot I didn't get to talk to, and this is just like out of left field right now. That scientist in the beginning that gives him guff about wearing a helmet. I'm like,
Did
what?
he die or no?
I don't know. I don't care. I'm just like, why are you giving someone guff for wearing protective equipment? Like,
I don't even get what kind of humor that is. I
it
obviously it's
was
supposed to be funny, but I'm like,
weird.
why are we doing this?
It's
Also,
weird. Because I'm just like, are you trying to be like, oh, even amongst nerds, he's getting bullied? Like, and what?
he's the
It,
bottom of the totem pole. Yeah, I don't. Also, that actor has like consistently been playing like not neo Nazis since this movie, and I'm just like,
mm.
oh yeah, I forgot that he's not actually a neo Nazi. He's just an actor.
Sure.
So I'm like, wait, did he die or not? I can't remember because something broke in this guy's brain where he's like, you know what I should be doing as an
Yeah.
actor.
I want to get typecast
Doesn't
as a
even feel like
neo-Nazi.
that's teed up in this movie.
No.
He
No.
just seems like, other than the helmet stuff, like just a easygoing guy.
Yeah, except you're just gonna randomly bully someone for wearing a helmet on a bike. Like you're in a country with no universal health care. Like why are you taking risks like that to fall off your bike and hurt your head and then lose everything? Like it makes no sense to me. And like you're
It does
really
not.
gonna bully him about that instead of like something that even makes a little bit more sense. It's like, haha, you know, your haircut or whatever. I'm like, this is dumb. Why are you making fun of him for wearing a helmet? As an adult, as a kid, I would get that. I'd be like, yeah, you look like a loser as a kid. But as an adult, you're just like, no, 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 we're past that shit. Like,
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was supposed to be an adult. Like, obviously an adult, but like, I couldn't tell if he was supposed to be like 21, like newly out
like
of there
the the
versus
scientist or Bruce.
no, the scientist.
Oh,
Bruce,
okay.
Bruce and Betty, I hope are supposed to be in their 30s.
Well, there has to be, but because
But like,
they tell you like, oh yeah, he served a 30-year prison sentence, and he was 4 at the time of the
yeah.
accident.
So
So
that's
it's
what I mean. Like, I didn't know if he was supposed to be their like
Hmm.
age peer or like
I gotcha.
helping in the thing,
Yeah,
which would make the making fun make more sense.
like if he was like an
Young,
intern that was
yeah,
like,
like an intern that's
yeah,
just younger.
yeah, okay, that would make sense if he was supposed to be super young and like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna try to neg you to establish my order, and like that's just dumb. You're an intern. You could get fired for that shit.
Or put in front of a gamma bomb. Do you wanna rate this, or is there anything else?
I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. I again just I want to clarify my wording. It's a movie I appreciate a little bit more, but ultimately still feel the same way about. So yeah,
Okay,
let's rate it.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
It is a 6 for me.
Excellent. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry for people who like Hulk and don't feel like we did a good job of. When I say Hulk, I mean the movie Hulk from 2003. I'm
Yeah.
sorry if you didn't feel like we gave it a fair shake, but
I
it's just not for
disagree.
me. It's
When
just,
we revisit things, we're definitely giving it a fair shake. So it's just
like,
not landing.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't feel like I was trying to be fair and balanced. I'm saying I'm
Mm,
sorry if it didn't come off that way.
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah.
Yeah. This, oh boy. All right.
Tweet at us or whatever. Daniel's gonna tell
Good
you
luck,
how.
good luck with that. We're not on Twitter. Yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, you can definitely follow at TDF Spoiled on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you would like to email us, spoiledpodcast@gmail.com. If you are on a platform that doesn't have all of our episodes, then you can go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. You'll find all of our episodes. You'll find more ways to interact with us on social media. And then, after you do all that stuff, please rate, review, subscribe, follow, share with your friends on all the podcast platforms that you use. It would be really nice of you. All right. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.